Welcome to JK Tells a Story, where real-life dramas unfold. Sit back and enjoy today's tale. My name is Michael Sullivan, and I'm a project manager for Lone Star Construction here in Dallas. We specialize in residential developments throughout North Texas. I just turned 32 last month and have been married to the love of my life, Jennifer, for the last 8.5 years. We've got 2 boys, Tyler, who's 7, and Brandon, who's 6. We live in a sprawling ranch house in Plano, just north of Dallas. It's one of those cookie-cutter subdivisions where every lawn looks perfect and most weekends are spent at someone's backyard barbecue or pool party. When we first got married, we lived in a modest neighborhood in Garland, closer to our jobs, mine at the construction office in Richardson and hers at the real estate agency downtown. But Jennifer didn't care for most of my friends from that area. They weren't quite as refined as our current crowd, she'd say, and couldn't care less about what kind of truck you drove or how big your house was. They were a rowdy group that loved to party but would give you the shirt off their back if you needed it. When Jennifer made the decision that we needed to upgrade to what she called a better area, we had our first real fight. Our little house was only 25 minutes from both our jobs, and it had been a fixer-upper, so our mortgage payments were pretty manageable. I'm what you'd call a laid-back kind of guy. I couldn't care less about keeping up with the Joneses, unlike my wife, who was always looking for something bigger, better, shinier. So when Jennifer said we needed to move, I put up a fuss for about a week, then thought, what the hell? You see, most things really aren't worth arguing about. A truck, a house, clothes, they're just material things that don't mean much in the end. When Jennifer dug in her heels, I just let it roll off my back. It wasn't worth the energy it would take to argue with her about it. In fact, I can count on one hand the number of real fights Jennifer and I have had over the last 8 years. That is, until last Tuesday night. Jennifer works at Premier Properties, one of the biggest real estate firms in North Dallas. She specializes in luxury homes in the Plano and Frisco markets. She's got flexible hours, usually working around client schedules, so she can get the kids off to school in the morning and be home when they get off the bus. On the other hand, I work from 7:30 until 5 o'clock, and depending on traffic on US 75, I usually get home about 6:15. When we lived in our old place in Garland, I was home with a cold beer in my hand by 5:30. Tuesday night, there was a 3-car pileup on the Central Expressway, and I didn't get home until almost 7 o'clock. I was a little stressed by the time I pulled into our driveway, but I figured at least I was finally home and could relax with my family. I slipped in through the garage and went upstairs to change into a pair of shorts and an old Cowboys t-shirt. As I was walking down the stairs toward the kitchen, I heard Jennifer on the phone. "Don't worry, Rebecca. You know Michael. He'll go along with anything I say." I could hear Jennifer talking to her sister. "No, he won't get mad. I think I know my husband a little better than you do. I've got it all worked out, and I plan on talking to him tonight after dinner. Yes, I'll call you and tell you what he says." "Well, got to go, girl. I've got dinner to finish. Talk to you later." "What do we need to talk about?" I said as I walked around the corner into the kitchen. "Michael, you startled me," Jennifer said, spinning around from the stove. "Let me ask again. What do we need to discuss that has to wait until after dinner?" I asked, grabbing a Shiner Bock from the refrigerator and sitting down at the kitchen table. "Let's wait until after dinner when the boys are upstairs." "All right. What did they do this time?" I already talked to them about the go-kart and not hitting golf balls toward the neighbor's fence. What else could they have done since Saturday? It's not about the boys. It's about us. "Well, I haven't done anything wrong since I got a little handsy at Rocco's bar last Friday night, and that's only because you looked so good in those new jeans. So it must be you. What did you buy this time?" I asked, trying to add a little levity to our conversation. "I'm not talking about money. It's about how we feel about each other." "Well, babe, you know I love you, and I know you love me, so what's the problem?" Jennifer sat down across from me, taking my hands in hers. "Michael, you know I love you, but I'm just not sure if I'm still in love with you anymore. The words hit me like a steel beam to the chest. What? I don't understand, Jennifer. If you've got something to say, just spit it out. You're scaring me here. You're the best and most thoughtful husband in the world, and a great father, she said, touching the side of my cheek. But I'm just not sure if I feel the same way about you as I did when we got married. I'm thinking about a trial separation so I can get my feelings sorted out. Jennifer, I don't understand. When the hell did all this happen? Before or after we kissed goodbye this morning? I was getting more than concerned now. Where are you going with this? I've been thinking about it for a while, but I didn't want to say anything until I was sure what I wanted. I don't understand. Where do you want to go? Well, I'm thinking about you moving in with your mother for a while. Since your dad passed, she's been rattling around that big house by herself. Maybe she'd like some company for a little while, Jennifer said, speaking like she was talking to a child. Now I was starting to get angry, but I held it inside. How are you going to pay for the house and everything else if I leave? Fully knowing what was coming next, I waited. Well, you'll still have to make the payments, but it won't be forever. Just until I have a chance to sort out a few things, she said in her most loving and caring voice. I stood up. No. What do you mean, no? A surprised Jennifer replied. Jennifer, what the hell about no, don't you understand? No, I'm not moving in with my mother. And no, I'm not leaving my house and 2 sons. If you need to leave and get your head screwed on straight, go for it. I don't want you here either if you're not in love with me anymore, as you so eloquently put it. So since I'm such a great guy, I'll even help you pack, I said, setting my beer down hard on the table and walking upstairs to our bedroom. It shocked the hell out of Jennifer when I came back downstairs with an armful of clothes from her closet. Put these in your car, and I'll be down with the next load in a minute, I said, tossing them on the living room couch and heading back upstairs. When I came down with the next handful, Jennifer started yelling at me to stop. I thought you wanted a separation. I'm just helping you move your stuff out, that's all, I told her in a calm voice. At this point, I had crossed the line from love and was moving into what I like to call the dark side. I want you to leave, Michael, she yelled at me. That's not going to happen, Jennifer. This is my house, and I've done nothing to either you or the kids to warrant you kicking me out. Now, if you want to move down to the basement, I can put your stuff down there, I told her as I dumped my second armload of clothes on top of the others. This was not going as Jennifer had planned. Michael was supposed to tuck his tail between his legs and move out without saying a word, she thought to herself. He wasn't supposed to put up a fight. Now what the hell do I do? Let's talk about this like 2 adults, Michael. Jennifer, I think you've said enough. At least now I know how you really feel about me. So make up your mind. Where do you want your clothes? Because you're sure as hell not staying in my bedroom any longer, I said, trying my best to stay calm. That's when our sons Tyler and Brandon walked through the front door. They wanted to know what was going on. Mom's just moving some of her stuff, that's all. How about if we go out and get some barbecue and let her finish? I didn't have to ask twice. We were gone and back within 45 minutes with takeout from Rudy's, but we came back to a few extra people, 2 Dallas PD officers. Evening, officers. Can I help you? I asked, getting out of my F-150 and telling my sons to go inside. We got a call about a domestic dispute and need a word with you, the taller one said, keeping his hand near his weapon. I noticed his posture and raised my hands slightly. Officers, you won't need that. Let me explain what happened. I told them exactly what I had come home to. I haven't raised my voice, threatened her, or laid a hand on anyone. I told her I wasn't leaving my house. My name's on the mortgage, I pay all the bills, and unless there's a court order floating around, which I strongly doubt, I think I'm within my rights to be here. I told my wife if she wasn't happy with me, she could move out, and I'd even help her pack. Both officers chuckled and seemed to appreciate my situation. Jennifer was furious when the policeman told her there was nothing they could do. However, They did say they would file a report stating that I was cooperative and presented no danger to either my family or myself, but that Jennifer was highly agitated and using inappropriate language when discussing her husband. Finally, they noted that I had only wanted to help my wife load her personal items into her car. That was all they witnessed. I thanked them, shook their hands, and they wished me good luck. Jennifer was fuming that she hadn't gotten her way. "Michael, why don't you just leave and make it easier on all of us?" she shouted at me. "Jennifer, that's not going to happen. So decide where you want your stuff, in the car or the basement. It's your choice. The boys and I are going to eat out on the deck, so think very carefully about what you do next," I said, grabbing the food and heading out to the patio where my boys were waiting. "What's wrong with Mom?" Tyler asked. "Who knows? Maybe she had a bad day showing houses. Let's give her some space. You know Mom. She'll be back to her old self in no time." I told my boys, but I didn't believe one word coming out of my mouth. We ate our brisket and watched SportsCenter on the outdoor TV. It wasn't until almost 8:30 before we finished. "Why don't you guys go upstairs and get ready for bed? Let me see what's going on with your mother. I'll be up later to check on you." They went upstairs and I went looking for Jennifer. She was gone and had left her clothes piled on the couch where I dumped them. I went upstairs and noticed a few drawers open and 2 of her suitcases missing. "Well, I guess that answers that," I said, sitting on the bed, wondering what was going to happen next. Hell, I'd left a loving wife and family at 7 o'clock this morning, and now at 9:30 tonight, I had my 2 boys but no longer had a loving wife. Life really sucks sometimes. "Mom, I need a big favor," I said as I called my mother. I gave her the short version and asked if she'd come over to make sure the boys got off to school on time and to be here when they got home. Maybe Jennifer's just having some kind of midlife crisis. She'll probably be back as soon as she realizes what a fool she's made of herself. But I'll be over in the morning just to make sure. My mother said that I thanked my mom but said I wasn't quite as optimistic as she was. I was right. Jennifer didn't come back Wednesday or Thursday. She did call the boys Thursday afternoon to say hi to them, but not to me. I guess I was still the bad guy. By Saturday morning, I was concerned but also getting angrier. "You've got no one but yourself to blame," I said, starting to beat up on myself. "If you hadn't been such a pushover all these years, Jennifer never would have tried to kick you out of your own house. Now she's sulking at her parents' place, telling everyone what an insensitive jerk I was for not considering her feelings. Screw her and this damn house," I said, looking around. "I never wanted it anyway, and it's way too big for just the 3 of us." Rebecca, Jennifer's sister, came over the following Sunday afternoon to pick up a few things for her. Rebecca worked as a physical therapist at a private clinic in Richardson, which gave her a flexible schedule and weekends mostly free. She was 2 years younger than Jennifer and had always been the more level-headed of the 2 sisters. "Hey, Rebecca," I greeted her at the door. "I figured she'd send you over to get some more of her clothes. How's she doing? You know Jennifer. It's all about her. She still can't get it through her thick skull why you just didn't roll over and give her the house and kids and move out," she said with a smile. "I told her you wouldn't go along with it, but she said she knew you better than I did. Guess she was wrong. I should have stood up to her a long time ago, but I figured I'd keep peace in the family by not rocking the boat. Guess I was wrong too. Any idea when she plans on coming back?" "Not a clue. She's still in the poor me stage, but Mom's ready to kick her out if she doesn't get her act together. But you know Dad, his little girl can do no wrong. You want to stay for dinner? We're grilling burgers, and I'm making my famous potato salad. Let me get her stuff together, and you've got a deal," she said with a smile. The boys were happy to see Rebecca, and we all had a nice dinner together. She did get 2 text messages from Jennifer asking where the hell she was, but she never responded. We all cleaned up, and it was close to 8 o'clock before she said she'd better get going. "Thanks for stopping by. It was nice to see a friendly face for a change. If you need anything, give me a call," I told Jennifer she's screwing up a good marriage, but her friends are all telling her to stand her ground and that you'll come crawling back eventually. I told her she's wrong, but you'd better go before you get in more trouble than you're probably in right now. Rebecca gave me a big hug, a kiss on the cheek, and was out the door. Married the wrong sister, I said to myself. The next 4 weeks were tough. Mom took care of the kids during the day, and though Jennifer would call the boys, she refused to talk to me. She did, however, send me 2 long emails about how badly she was feeling and how I wasn't being a supportive husband, along with a whole bunch of other complaints. The one thing that kind of surprised me was that I was no longer invited to the neighborhood barbecues, but Jennifer was. I guess they'd already taken sides. The kids were the first to notice it and kept asking when their mom was coming back home. Not sure, guys. It's really up to her. I'm not keeping her away. She's doing that all on her own. I told them. Rebecca continued to come by every Sunday. Since Jennifer was basically living at their parents' house full-time now, Rebecca said she felt responsible for making sure the boys were okay. Her flexible work schedule at the physical therapy clinic meant she could usually take Sundays off, and she'd often stay for dinner. I found myself looking forward to her visits more and more. It was Saturday morning while we were grocery shopping at Tom Thumb that my life started to turn around. I was walking down the cereal aisle with my 2 sons when someone grabbed me from behind and lifted me off the floor. "You're so whipped, you're probably ironing her panties by now too," came a voice from the past. "If this is as high as you can lift me, you're still the out-of-shape piece of crap you've always been. What Amanda sees in you, I'll never know," I said, laughing. "I thought you'd dropped off the face of the earth. What, are you too good for us now that you've got that big house?" Jake Morrison asked, letting me down. "I've always been too good for you. You just never realized it," I said, giving him a bear hug. "Your boys are growing up fast. What's it been, 2.5 years? Something like that. How's Amanda and the girls? Still crazy about me as always. How's Jennifer?" I paused for a minute. "Pretty good," I replied. "That bad? Huh? Hey, buddy, if you're not doing anything with your new fancy friends tonight, I'm having a little get-together. We'd love to see you guys." "What time?" I said, looking at the boys. "Any time after 4 o'clock. And bring your own beer. That is, if Jennifer still lets you drink." Jake ribbed me. "It's a deal. Anything I can bring." "Nope, just yourselves." "Well, I'd better get my butt in gear or Amanda will have it." "See you guys later," Jake said, walking back down the aisle. "Was that Uncle Jake?" my 2 wide-eyed boys asked. "Yes, that was Uncle Jake, and we'd better get a move on. This is one party I don't want to be late for." We hit Jake's place just after 4:30. Amanda came out and gave me a big hug, and her girls grabbed my boys and headed for the backyard. "Where's Jennifer?" Amanda asked. "That's a whole other story," I said. "Well, I'm glad you and the boys made it. Everyone will be excited to see you," Amanda told me. And they were. The group treated us like we'd never left. The kids and I had the time of our lives. At the end of the night, after most of the group had left, Amanda, Jake, and I sat down. They wanted to know what happened between Jennifer and me. All I could do was shake my head and tell them I didn't have a clue. We never fought. Hell, we never even argued. I told them, maybe that's the problem. You let her do whatever she wanted to keep peace in the family. You thought Jennifer was happy, but maybe she was bored, Amanda said. Who knew? I replied. Probably just a midlife crisis thing. Amanda said, but I told her I thought it went deeper than that. You don't tell your husband that you love him, but you're not in love with him anymore. That's a bunch of double talk. It never dawned on me that Jennifer might be seeing someone else. But right now, I wouldn't bet against it. I'm going to keep my eyes open, my mouth shut, and see how it all plays out. No more Mr. Nice Guy. From now on, it's my kids first, me second, and the hell with everyone else. Especially my fair-weather neighborhood friends. Over the next 8 weeks, Rebecca's visits became a regular part of our routine. She'd come by every Sunday, sometimes bringing groceries or helping with laundry, always staying for dinner. The boys adored her, and honestly, so did I. She was everything Jennifer wasn't. Warm, genuine, and completely unpretentious. I would drop off my boys at Jennifer's mom's house on Saturday mornings, hoping to talk to Jennifer, but after the first blow-up, I found it easier just to drop them off. That way, there would be no confrontations on the front lawn. I went from anger to almost giving in, before finally getting depressed. Hell, I felt like a damn alcoholic going through the 12-step program. I even tried to get answers from Jennifer by sending her weekly emails telling her how much I loved and missed her, but I got nowhere with her. "Michael, please be patient, my love," she wrote. "I just want to resolve these nagging issues so they won't crop up later on. I know it's been tough on you and the boys, but just hang in there a little while longer." At least it gave me hope. After 3 long months, while doing the Sunday dishes, Rebecca shot a hole through my chest. "Jennifer went out on a date last night, and it wasn't the first one," she said without looking at me. "I told her she was crazy, but she went anyway. I thought you should know," she said, still avoiding my eyes. I didn't say a thing. I just stood there with a soapy dish towel in my hands while water dripped onto the floor. "Didn't you hear what I said?" Rebecca asked, now looking at me. "She went on a damn date. Say something, damn it," she yelled at me. I was too stunned to say anything or even move. For the first time since Jennifer left, I thought about my life without her. Sure, I'd been angry and ranted a few times, but I always thought she'd be back and we'd be happy again. Now, for the first time, I thought that might not happen. "Michael, are you alive? Didn't you hear what I just said?" Rebecca repeated, now pounding on my chest. "Snap out of it. Your damn wife is out there cheating on you, and all you can do is just stand there." I grabbed her hands and then put my arms around her. My eyes filled with tears as I could hear Rebecca start to cry. "It's not fair. You're such a good guy, and all she's doing is taking advantage of you. It's not right," she said, holding me. "No, it wasn't right," I finally said, throwing the dish towel against the wall. "No more," I yelled as the kids came into the room to find out what all the yelling was about. "Dad, what's going on?" they asked. Rebecca slipped on the wet floor, and when I went to catch her, I banged my knee, that's all, I explained to my 2 boys. "Remember, we still got that movie to watch, and we're waiting on you guys," they said, walking back to the living room. Rebecca and I sat on the couch while my boys sat in front of the big screen TV. I'd seen The Incredibles 3 times, and they'd seen it at least 6 times. As we all watched in silence, I was still in a daze and was now well into the dark side. In my mind, I was planning my next moves, not revenge, just self-preservation. After the movie, I got the kids ready for bed and walked Rebecca to the door. "You okay?" she asked. "No, but I'll live. Call me if you need anything or just want to talk," she said, kissing me on the cheek. "You know she's an idiot," Rebecca said. "I know," I said, walking her out to her car. Monday, I called in and took a vacation day. I got my kids off to school and then hit the computer. We had 2 Visa credit cards with outstanding balances. I paid off both and closed the accounts. I then went to the bank and transferred 50% of what we had left into a new account in my name only. Since Texas is a community property state, I was legally entitled to half of everything we'd accumulated during the marriage. I called the HR department where I worked and removed Jennifer from my life insurance policy, 401k, and medical and dental insurance. It was now 11:30 a.m. I changed the locks on the house myself, including changing the security codes on the front door and the garage door opener. Going to the Verizon store, I canceled my cell phone plan, which cost me an extra $200 early termination fee, and started a new plan in my name only. Wait until Jennifer tries to use her cell phone. That should get a rise out of her, I said with a smile, the first smile that had crossed my lips in a long time. I left the home phone number the same but put a message on the answering machine. If you're trying to reach Jennifer, please call her at her parents' house. And I gave that number. It was now 3:45. The kids came running into the house like always. Guys, I need your old house keys. I changed the locks, and here are your new keys, I said, handing them each a new key as I took their old ones and threw them in the trash. All done, I said to myself. It had only taken 8 hours to go from happily married husband to a single parent. I knew it was just a matter of time before the explosion would hit. That night, the home phone rang, and I told the kids to let the machine pick it up. What the hell do you think you're doing, Michael James Sullivan? My cell phone doesn't work, and neither do my credit cards. I need you to call me right now and tell me why you're acting like such a... Jennifer only called me by my full name when she was really angry. It had taken me only 8 hours to push her over the edge, whereas it had taken me over 3 months to lose it. Rebecca called and said she was on her way over. Grab the kids because we're all going out to dinner. She pulled up, ran up to the door, and told us all to get moving. What's the big hurry? I asked. Jennifer and my parents are getting ready to come over and have a heart-to-heart with you. So if you don't want to hear a bunch of lectures, come with me. We ended up at Papa's barbecue. It wasn't my favorite, but when Rebecca asked where everyone wanted to go, I got outvoted 3-1. The food was good, and we were all having a good time. You know I changed the locks, don't you? I asked. I figured that when I heard you canceled her credit cards, cell phone, and insurance. She told my parents you cleaned out the checking and savings accounts. That's when Dad got mad. I took exactly half, but only after I paid off all the credit cards she's been using for the last 3 months. That girl sure knows how to spend money. I figured as much, but you know Dad, Lord and protector of his little girls, even when they're wrong, Rebecca told me. What are you going to do now? She asked. Nothing, I told her. Nothing other than putting that monster of a house up for sale. I've hated that house from day one, and even if we eventually get back together, I want that house gone. You can't sell that house without her consent, you know? I know that, but when the for sale sign goes up, we'll be the talk of the neighborhood. I told her, smiling from ear to ear. We stayed away for almost 3 hours, but it was still a school night, and the kids needed to get to bed, so we finally headed home. Are you and Mom getting a divorce? My kids asked when I tucked them into bed that night. We asked Mom, and she said no, but she doesn't live here anymore. Kids, I can't say yes or no right now. You know your mom and I love you very much, but I don't think she wants to live with me anymore. So we'll just have to wait and see what she wants. I kissed them both good night, told them I loved them, and assured them it would all turn out okay. I grabbed a beer and gave one to Rebecca as we sat at the kitchen table. You know you can't hide forever, don't you? Rebecca asked. Don't plan on it. She knows where I live and work, so it won't be too hard for her to find me. And finally, she did. At work the following Thursday, Jennifer came storming into my office. How dare you cancel my credit cards and cell phone? And when did you change the locks on the house? Hello, Jennifer. You're looking nice. How have you been? I said to an astonished Jennifer. Michael, what the hell are you talking about? She finally asked. Just answering all the questions you should be asking after not being part of our family for almost 4 months. That's all. Now, if you'd like to sit down and talk, that would be nice. But if you're going to yell and scream, I'm going to have to ask you to leave because, after all, this is a business office. All right, Jennifer said as she sat down in front of my desk. Why did you do all those things last week? Why did you start dating? Are we still married? Or have I missed something? I asked. It was just dinner with a friend. That's all. Did you sleep with him? No, I didn't sleep with him. It was just dinner. I told you. Are you going to sleep with him? Michael, why are you asking me all these questions? I just want to know what my timetable is. I told her. What timetable? Jennifer asked. For our divorce. I told the shocked Jennifer. I don't want a damn divorce. Jennifer shouted back at me. Well, you're acting like you do. Dating, ignoring your husband and kids, buying new clothes for someone other than me. All the signs of moving on with your life without us. They still send the credit card bills to the house, so I know what you're buying, just not for whom. I told her. I told you I don't want a divorce. All I need is a little time to myself, that's all. She told me for about the 10th time. But this time I wasn't letting her off the hook. How much time, Jennifer? How much more time do you need? I asked. I don't know. How can I answer that when I don't know? She replied. Well, when you find out, please let me know. But it better be soon if you expect to try and save this marriage, I said, standing up. So if you don't mind, I still have a job to do, and I've got a foundation inspection on a residential project in Frisco in 20 minutes. She tried to kiss me goodbye, but I turned my head. She wasn't at all happy but said nothing. That evening, Rebecca came to the house, and we had a long conversation. How much longer are you going to keep this charade of a marriage up? She asked. This weekend, I told her. If Jennifer is not back by Saturday morning, I'm going to a lawyer. If she doesn't know by now, she never will. I'm not going to say a thing to the kids because my mom is planning on taking them to Six Flags over Texas Friday after school. So by this weekend, I'll at least have my answer. Rebecca seemed more than a little disappointed with my answers. We picked up the kids, and we all went home to prepare dinner. It was a quiet night between Rebecca and me before she announced that she had to leave. I walked her out to her car and held her for more than a moment before she got in. I leaned in, gave her a gentle kiss, and she drove off. My email that night to Jennifer was short and to the point. If you've not moved back 100% and are ready to be my wife and mother to our kids, I'm calling it quits. Your time is up. It's decision time. Tuesday night, Jennifer called and said she was moving back in. She said that she'd taken off Friday and that we'd have all night to talk. That I was relieved but conflicted at the same time. The week dragged on. Jennifer called me every day and so did Rebecca. Rebecca said that Jennifer was very excited about coming home and that she wished us both the best. When I came home Friday night, Jennifer was there waiting for me, drink in hand. I grabbed her, hugged her, and it felt so strange after 4 months. We ate, we talked, and then talked some more. We both knew what was coming next as the hours ticked by. Later that evening, we were in our bedroom, and the conversation I'd been dreading finally came. Jennifer, before things go any further, I have to ask you a question. How long has the affair been going on? And please don't insult my intelligence by telling me it just happened. 6 months, Jennifer said, not meeting my eyes. But it's over. I broke it off a while ago, she said with a scared look on her face. So in other words, the real reason you left was to be with him. Is that right? It started out that way. That's why I needed the time alone, to decide who I wanted. So you've been with him all these months, and now you expect to just waltz back into my life like nothing happened? Like I'm supposed to just say, it's okay, honey, I'm just glad you're back? Michael, were you with anyone else while I was gone? Jennifer asked. What does that have to do with anything? We're talking about you having a lover for the last 6 damn months. I just want to know how righteous you really are, I replied. Well, Jennifer, unlike you, I was still honoring my vows, I said, getting out of bed. Now that I know what a lying cheat I'm married to, I can make the hard decisions I've been putting off all these months. Michael, I came back to you. It's over. I made a huge mistake, and I admit it. I'm not proud of what I've done, but I'm asking for another chance. I love you, and I'm begging you for another chance to make our family whole again. Please. What the hell was I supposed to say when she put it to me that way? I need to think about it, Jennifer, but I can't do it sleeping next to you right now. I'm too damn angry. Just tell me it wasn't one of our friends or someone I work with. It was someone I met through work, and it's over, she said. I slept in the spare room Friday and Saturday night. It was lonely, but I needed to make some hard decisions about our future. We talked all weekend. She told me to ask her any question, and she would answer them truthfully. I didn't want to know the details, but I did ask why. It was exciting at first, and I felt like a rebellious teenager keeping something from her parents. He paid more attention to me in 1 week than you had in the last 2 years. I just got caught up in the moment, but it didn't last. After a while, the newness wore off and we were just, well, it was just physical. We both decided it wasn't worth it, and neither one of us wanted our spouses to find out. So that's the short version. I realized I'd made a mistake and wanted you back. By Sunday morning, my mind was too full of conflicting thoughts, and I needed a break. Dinner at her mom's house was something that had been missing all these months. She put on a huge spread, and everyone seemed to be in a good mood except her mom, Rebecca, and me. As we got up to leave, her mom hugged me, slipped something in my pocket, and whispered for me to call her tomorrow before kissing me on the cheek. The next 2 weeks were hectic. I was still sleeping in the spare room, and the kids were happy to have their mother back with them. On a Friday afternoon, I took off early and drove home to take care of some personal business I couldn't handle during regular working hours. I turned off my cell phone because I didn't want to be disturbed, and when I turned it back on, there were 12 missed calls from Jennifer. I grabbed a beer and was about halfway finished when she came flying through the door, waving an envelope. "What the hell is this, Michael?" she shouted at me. "What does it look like, Jennifer?" "Divorce papers. Why did you have me served? I thought we were going to try again." "We almost were, Jennifer, but that was when it was just the two of us. There's no hope now for the three of us," I said to a shocked Jennifer as she sank into a chair. "You see, I was leaning your way because of the kids and all the good times we'd had in the past, but something new came to light 2 weeks ago that changed everything." "How did you find out?" "No one knew," she replied. "Does it really make a difference how I found out, Jennifer? So you were going to just play me along like some stupid fool and make me believe it was mine? You really are a piece of work. You know that? It wasn't supposed to happen. I'm so sorry, Michael. I don't love him, only you. We can take care of this, and then go back to the way we were," she pleaded. "He even gave me enough money to handle it so his wife doesn't find out either." She was digging herself into a deeper hole with every word that came out of her mouth. "I hope the three of you will be very happy together. I love you, Michael. I really do. We can get past this. And if you want, we can sell this house and buy another one and make a fresh start somewhere else. Jennifer, we're done. Hell, we've been done for a long time. I just didn't want to accept it for the sake of the kids. You can stay here until the house sells or you find another place to live. I plan on taking the kids with me, but you'll be able to see them whenever you want. I want nothing from you other than you out of my life." She spent the rest of the weekend in tears, and when I picked up the kids from their grandparents' house, we all had a long heart-to-heart talk. It wasn't a huge surprise to them that we were splitting up, but they still weren't happy about it. After all, it was their mother. In Texas, the divorce process took 6 months to finalize. We split everything up according to community property laws, 50-50, and after all our bills were paid, I still had enough to put a down payment on a smaller house in a friendlier neighborhood. Jennifer did handle her situation privately, and I respected her wishes by not saying a word to anyone about the real reason for our divorce. There was only one problem, you see. Jennifer's mom had slipped something in my jacket pocket that Sunday dinner. I called her the next day to find out what she'd given me. "I shouldn't be the one telling you this, but if I don't, you may never know the truth," she started. "I found something in Jennifer's old bedroom trash can when I was cleaning up after she moved back to her apartment. It took me a few days to get up the courage to give it to you. She had found a pregnancy test in the trash, and it was positive. Since Jennifer was the only one who'd been staying in that room, the test obviously belonged to her. I didn't want to be the one to tell you, but I thought Jennifer was going to try to pull a fast one on you. She's always been too clever for her own good, but sometimes she's not as smart as she thinks she is. Remember, you didn't hear it from me, right? What am I supposed to do with this information? I asked. Follow your heart, Michael. You're a good man, and you deserve better than the mess she's made. But I love her anyway. She's my daughter. Just don't be a stranger, okay? She said, hanging up. That's how I found out Jennifer was pregnant with another man's child. I guess it would have been a better story if I'd found the test myself, or had seen a doctor's report, or had caught them together. In the end, her own mother, fed up with her daughter's lies and feeling sorry for me, had told me the truth. The house I found was back in Garland, close to the old neighborhood where Jennifer and I had lived all those years ago. It was also a fixer-upper and needed a whole lot of work. It had 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, and a large backyard with an old deck that needed rebuilding. The kids pitched in with the painting and yard work, and my new helper was a real lifesaver. During the divorce proceedings, Rebecca had become a constant presence in our lives. She helped with the kids, brought groceries, and basically became the stable female figure they needed during a very confusing time. What started as her helping her sister's children gradually became something much more personal. About 2 months before the divorce was finalized, Rebecca and I had been working late one evening, assembling furniture for Tyler's new bedroom. The kids were asleep, and we were sitting on the living room floor, surrounded by instruction manuals and tiny screws. "Michael," she said quietly, not looking up from the instruction sheet. "I need to tell you something." "What's that?" I asked, trying to figure out which piece was part B. "I think I'm falling in love with you," she said, finally meeting my eyes. I set down the screwdriver and looked at her. "Rebecca, I know it's complicated. I know it's weird. She's my sister and you were married to her. But I can't help how I feel." "It's not weird," I said, reaching over to take her hand, "because I think I'm falling in love with you too." The divorce became final on a Tuesday in March. By that Thursday, Rebecca had officially moved in with us. We were all sitting around enjoying a Thanksgiving meal at Jennifer's parents' house when the kids let the cat out of the bag. They were telling their mom and grandparents how the new house was coming along and how they each had their own bedrooms and bathrooms. "It's so cool," Tyler said enthusiastically. "Brandon has his room, I have mine, Dad and Aunt Rebecca have theirs, and we still have one left for when people stay with us," he said, beaming while reaching for another dinner roll. "Tyler, hold up there, son," Jennifer said, setting down her fork. "There's your room, Brandon's, the spare room, and who else's?" "Dad's and Aunt Rebecca's," he said matter-of-factly, while munching on his sweet potato casserole. "Michael, and exactly how long has Rebecca been living with you?" Jennifer asked, her voice rising. "Ever since you guys got divorced," Brandon chimed in helpfully. "She's way cooler than—" "Brandon," I interrupted gently. "Michael," Jennifer screamed from across the dining room. "I guess someone found out our little secret," I said, getting up and walking into the kitchen where Rebecca was helping clean up. "You know, it was just a matter of time. We never told the kids not to say anything, and Mom and Dad were bound to find out eventually," Rebecca said, drying her hands on a dish towel. "Shall we face the music?" I said, holding out my arm. "Might as well," Rebecca replied with a smile as we walked back into the dining room. It was like watching a small tornado touch down in suburban Dallas. Jennifer was absolutely furious that I was now with her little sister. Her mom was quietly pleased that Rebecca had found happiness after her difficult divorce from her abusive ex-husband 2 years earlier. Her dad was just relieved he didn't have to break in another son-in-law, since he'd already grown fond of me over the years. Rebecca and I were just happy. "You can't be serious," Jennifer shouted, standing up so fast her chair nearly tipped over. "My own sister? How could you do this to me?" "Jennifer, you made your choices and I made mine," I said calmly. "Rebecca and I didn't plan for this to happen, but it did, and we're both very happy about it." "When did this start?" she demanded. About 2 months before our divorce was final, Rebecca answered honestly. We were both hurting, and we found comfort in each other. It just grew from there. This is unbelievable. Yes, it is pretty unbelievable, I said, putting my arm around Rebecca. I never thought I'd get a second chance at real happiness. And Tyler and Brandon love Rebecca, I added. They've been through enough upheaval. They deserve stability and love, and that's what Rebecca gives them. The kids nodded enthusiastically. Rebecca teaches us how to cook, Tyler added helpfully. And she doesn't get mad when we track mud in the house. Jennifer's mom finally spoke up. Jennifer, honey, maybe it's time you accepted that Michael has moved on. Rebecca makes him happy, and those boys adore her. That's what matters now. I can't believe my own family is taking his side, Jennifer said, grabbing her purse. We're not taking sides, sweetheart, her dad said gently. We're just accepting reality. You two are divorced and life goes on. Besides, Rebecca deserves to be happy too after what she went through with David. Jennifer stormed out, but not before shooting us both a look that could have melted steel. The rest of the family continued with dinner, and by the time we were having pumpkin pie, everyone was laughing and talking about Christmas plans and whether Rebecca would join us for the family vacation to South Padre Island. Later that evening, as Rebecca and I were driving home with the boys, Tyler asked from the back seat, Dad, are you going to marry Rebecca? I looked over at Rebecca, who was smiling, and then back at my boys in the rearview mirror. Would you guys be okay with that? We like Rebecca way better than Mom, Brandon said matter-of-factly. She's nicer, and she makes really good grilled cheese sandwiches. And she doesn't yell all the time, Tyler added. Rebecca laughed. Well, that's quite an endorsement. 3 months later, on a beautiful February day, Rebecca and I got married in a small ceremony at her parents' church. Tyler and Brandon were my best men, and Jennifer's parents were there, beaming with pride. Jennifer didn't attend, but she did send a card wishing us well. A small step toward healing, but a step nonetheless. Thank you for your viewing. See you next time. If you enjoyed this, subscribe to JK Tells a Story for more tales.